On today's episode, Judi Watanabe from Judikins is going to show us how to make this adorable and clever birthday banner card.
So the first thing that I started with, because I'm going to be using some Deco Arts Americana chalkboard paint, and I'm going to take this white piece of paper and I'm going to make it look like a chalkboard. So the reason why I'm doing that first is because I want this to dry while I'm working on the other pieces. Now, I tried painting this on with a paintbrush and it looks okay, but I wasn't super happy with it. But what I found is if you just put this paint on like so, and you use a brayer. The brayer really spreads the ink out. It gives you a nice even coat, and if you just spread it out like so and you let it dry, it's going to dry with a nice chalkboard finish. So this is a little messy. I'm just going to set this aside and let this dry.
Okay.
Now I'm going to work on the banner. I'm going to work on the pennants for the banners.
Okay.
So the way that I did that was I took a piece of green paper, green cardstock, and I actually rubber stamped it with my little birthday candles. I stamped it all around, all across the card. And you can see, all you do is you just stamp it, move it over, and just keep stamping all the way across to repeat it. So I've got this nice little pattern going. Then I cut the card, the bigger card, into quarters.
So it's a quarter sheet.
Quarter
of an 8.5 by 11?
Exactly.
Okay.
But how did I get that triangle? It's kind of tricky, but it's really easy. I have this ruler here. This is the Judikins High Vis ruler, and we call it High Vis because you could see through it. Now, the thing that's kind of interesting, it's a little hard to see, maybe I should flip this over, is right here on this little railroad, the railroad line. Doesn't it look like a little railroad?
Choo-choo.
The little railroad, there's a zero right there. So what you do is you kind of put the zero somewhere in the general vicinity of the center. And then on either side of the zero, there's a 1 here, and there's a 2 here, and it continues on exactly the same across the ruler.
Yeah, I see it.
And so I kind of line up like this, and I just say there's 1, and then I go to this little railroad here.
See, it shows easily that you're 1/8 of an inch off.
And
just
so
like
I'm 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch,
now
and right here is my center. So I'm going to just mark it right there.
That's really handy, Judy.
Then you take your ruler, turn it to the side, and I'm going to draw a line from the corner to that center point, just like this. And I do the same thing on the other side, like so.
And there's your ready to cut.
And now I'm ready to cut.
Shape.
And I just cut that with my scissors. I have these big scissors here, which is really nice. It makes it easy to cut. Just like so.
Perfect.
Then I want to decorate my pennant.
So how many of these pennant banners did you make for your banner?
I made 14 of them, and in 4 different colors.
Okay,
so
and the 14 is so that you have the space between the words?
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
Okay. All right.
So once you have all of those set, now we need to decorate it. My chalkboard
It's dry,
painted
and it is a
card
good, even finish.
Isn't that great? And then all I do is I just take my punch, and I just punch this out. I like to open up the little back here so I can see. See, right now I could see that I've missed the edge there. So I just do this, and I punch.
I also do like you and punch upside down like that so that you can see where you're placing it,
It really
instead
makes
of trying
it
to do
handy.
it this way.
Yeah, so then I just punch a couple of little circles.
So you're doing just assorted sizes of the
Just
spots.
do different sizes of all the different spots. And I also have some die cut letters here that spell out happy birthday. So after you've punched everything out, then you're just going to add them onto the paper, and then I just use the zip dry from Beacon
to hold everything together.
To hold everything together. It's wonderful.
It dries very quickly because it's zip dry.
Yeah, and then what happens is that you notice that I'm being a little sloppy here, and the little dots are hanging off the edges of the pennant. So I just snip those off with a pair of scissors, and away we go.
It always looks better when you let your image extend off a little bit like that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Neat.
Okay.
So how would put them all together? Show us that.
Okay. So what I did was I just measured off about 5 or 6 feet of this ribbon.
Decorative ribbon.
And what you can do, and then what you do is you take the end of the ribbon.
You punch the sides, I see.
You punch the sides, and then you take the ribbon and just feed it through the little hole here, like this, down through the first hole, and then up through the second
Back up
hole.
behind.
And give yourself a lot of extra ribbon, because you want to make sure you have enough ribbon to tie it off.
Yep.
And then your second one will just continue on.
Go along in the row, and you put that spacer in between.
The spacer in between the happy and the birthday.
Okay. Now I see that you have some fun little charm embellishments, kind of funky. How did you
Oh
make
yes,
those?
I need to show you that next. So the way that I made these little embellishments are almost like sequins hanging from
They do.
the
They
edge.
look like great big sequins.
Don't they look like sequins? What I did was I used the Makin's air dry clay, and I rolled it out with a roller here, just like this, and I rolled it as thin as I can.
It's almost paper thin.
It's paper thin, and then I used the clay
cutters.
To punch out these little circles. So I used the larger one, and then I actually used the smaller one to punch out.
You give us that sequin effect, and I
Right.
noticed you off-centered it so that it would still look right.
And then to attach that onto the banner, what I did was I just kind of pushed a needle through it, a needle and thread, and I tied a little
thin
knot.
and lightweight, you can go through it even after it's dry with a needle.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how I attached the little embellishments to the sides.
They're really a fun little accent.
So let me show you now
How it all comes together
how it comes
to be
together
this little
as
party
a card.
hat. So the banner fits in this adorable little card. Show us how you made the card.
So what I did was I started out with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and then I scored
cardstock?
it on cardstock.
Okay.
Excuse me, and then I scored it in about an inch in, and I've got the measurements. I have a template that people can download.
We'll have downloadable instructions on our site with all of these measurements and such for you.
So you're going to score the lines. Then once the lines are scored, you're going to cut out certain areas. So you're going to cut out the edges. You're going to cut off the top area here.
Okay, so you almost made a T.
So you kind of make a T. That actually looks like a T-shirt, doesn't it?
It does look like a T-shirt.
And then you're going to kind of score it in like so. But one little trick that you might want to do before you start assembling the little envelope or the little card
Pocket.
is you want to decorate it.
It would be easier before you put it together.
Exactly. I don't know how many cards I put together and thought,
Ooh, whoops.
I should have decorated it first. So I have my little stamp of these party streamers, and I just stamp that onto my card like so, and then you're going to see how this
Why they're in that
ends up-
direction, yeah.
Right, exactly, because I've got this little happy face
It
here.
is so cute. It's
Now
the
the
perfect
happy
hair.
face, what it is, so you even stamped the little,
The top fringe.
so it looks like, exactly. Did you know they called it fringe in England for your bangs?
Oh,
So
I learned something today.
what I did was I cut out the circle. I just punched it out with that same big punch, and I drew a little happy face on it, and I just snipped the top of the
off the
head.
thing.
And then when it folds together, I also stamped happy birthday.
Looks like you sponged some of the inks around the edges.
and then I just used a little brush to color duster some of
color
the
duster to them.
and then you're going to put it together with your quick dry glue. And you notice that the banner, I have it where the tip of the banner is sticking up. And that creates the
A party hat.
hat.
It is so clever.
Isn't that cute?
Now we need to, if we want to mail this, how do we mail it?
That's a good question. You need to make an envelope,
to
or
make
you need to have an
A large
envelope that's
enough
big enough.
envelope.
And I tried.
Lucky that Judikins happens to have these awesome envelope templates.
I have this template, and this template is kind of interesting because you can create 3 different size square envelopes with this template. So you're going to use the outer edge here and this line C to make an envelope that will fit. And you can see by just lining it up here, here, and here, it's a big enough envelope
to fit inside of.
Right. So you just trace the template, and then you're going to score in these scored lines, and then you're going to, if you don't mind grabbing my little card there, then you just score on the full scored lines and glue this together. And you can use the zip dry glue right here in these seams to glue it, and then this makes the perfect envelope for my card. And you know, I have to
add a little bit
more
bling to that.
So I stamped the little streamers on the top of the envelope. Now you notice that it's kind of decorated paper, and I don't think the mailman's going to be able to read the address. So what I would do is just put a mailing label on here, just a white sticker on the top, and then write the address. Yep.
Now I just have one question. I know you did the really neat technique with the black chalkboard paint to make the paper black, which is a great idea to make custom papers that way. But is there a reason that you use the chalkboard paint versus a regular black acrylic paint?
Good question. I have some chalkboard markers that I was going to send along with the banner, and then that way anybody that's coming to the birthday party can sign the banner. So the birthday
in the little spots.
In the little spots.
That is genius. That is genius. That is genius. That is a really clever idea. Now I know why you use the chalkboard paint.
That's why the chalkboard paint is there.
So you've got your card greeting and you've got your banner to say
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
We hope you've been enjoying our All-Star Designers Winter Series. Like us on Facebook, pin us on Pinterest, and follow us on Twitter.
And for full instructions and complete supply lists for all of the projects featured on the series, go to whencreativityknocks.com and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be eligible to win one of the prize packages full of products from all of our series sponsors.